Hello and welcome to Making Waves by Todderbert. If you enjoy kit building, making electronic circuits and other do-it-yourself projects, then make sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you miss any of my most awesome videos. In front of us we have an Elenco kit, model number AM550CK. This is a dual audio superhet AM radio kit. I got this off Amazon for a total of $29, and it's a pretty cool instructional AM radio. So let's take a look at the instructions. Here we are, AM radio kit. If you've built an Elenco kit, you know they're very good with their instructions. I believe everything is in the United States. I think it's made here in the States, printed in the States, all that. So we're going to go ahead and just open up this manual real quick, and then we'll go over the components. Let me just raise this up a little bit so you guys get a quick look. All right, so this kit, yeah, 29 bucks on Amazon. They give you a bill of materials there, going over the resistors, capacitors we'll be using, semiconductors, coils, and miscellaneous. Okay, I'm just kind of flashing this real quick. I don't have to go crazy. I don't want to spend like tons of time on this, but this manual is almost like a classroom setting. There's tons of information. How to ID resistors, identifying capacitors. Here's your conversion tables. They're going in general discussion on the radio itself. I'll check that out. This is just a pretty cool setup. I'm not sure if Elenco has this manual on their website. If they do, that'd be pretty cool. If I can find it, I'll link it in the video description. But the neat thing about this kit, like I said, it's a classroom setting. You're going to learn everything about AM radio when you build this one. Now, I've built a few kits in the past, so I'm going to show them to you in a second. Here you go, showing how to proper solder techniques. And they're going to go over different steps with testing. Here you can test a transistor using the ohm meter. Very cool. So for this pretty much has everything you need. So you need a soldering iron. That's typical. But you also need a multimeter. You need to be able to test ohm resistance. You need to test voltages. And you need to be able to test amps, current. So there you go. They're starting off with the first step there. Also, it's a classroom setting. So they're going to go over different sciences and what's happening. Here's the audio amplifier section. And they're going to talk about how and why that works. And they're going to show you how to test. There's your tester. And of course, if you're in a classroom, you may have access to a signal generator or an oscilloscope. If you don't, like I don't have one of these, like this or this, they say you can skip right here. If it's not available, skip to section 2. So you can get most of your testing done with the multimeter and you're done. Though it would be neat to have these things. Maybe in the future, I'll be able to buy a generator and an oscilloscope. That would be nice. But you don't need it to complete this kit. So there you go, general idea. Very pictorial, very simple. They have, I think, little tests here. And I think there's like a quiz at the end of the build in the back here. Here we go, they got DC. Okay, I think those might be answers. Don't look at those. I don't know, there's a quiz somewhere in here. But, yeah, pretty neat. Find out alignments we're talking about. And I even got a speaker baffle. So let's go ahead and take a look at the kit. So there's the manual. Pretty intense. Looking forward to building this. So in the white box, yeah, very simple, plain white box is where all the components are. Now let's start out. Let's get the bag of stuff. Let's pull that out. And I'm going to lower this down. And let's see, look at the board first. And I'm going to, since this does change the color of my screen, I'm going to go ahead and just fold this back down. Use this as my backdrop. This will look good. And of course, flip this the right direction. Yeah. So this is a pretty cool setup. If you guys have seen this kit or not, I built an AM radio kit with just a single chip or a single IC. This is a lot different. This is a full super heterodyne receiver. You're going to have different stages. As you can see, mixer and oscillator stage, first IF amplifier, second IF amplifier, then you got your audio amp, and now to your earphone jack and speaker. That's that dual audio they mentioned. I believe the earphone jack is here and your speaker is there. It's nice they give you a paper baffle to make that speaker sound better because it's usually a pretty tinny sounding speaker. As you can tell, it's not very portable. The radios I've built in the past, the kits are very portable and pretty much you learn quite a bit. Like here's my Tecsun 2P3. It's amazing, fun little kit, but it's not as learning oriented as this is. Everything is compact, and they've taken a lot of things like ICs and made it a lot easier to build. though this is very portable. This has an enclosure, and this is really good on AM band. Also, something different you can build is the Marania kit. Yes, this is the 1 transistor kit, similar to the one that Elenco makes. This is done a little nicer. You can wind your own antenna, which is a lot of fun. And you can change the windings to get better sensitivity, which I did. This little thing is amazing. This is available local, not really locally, but in the States. The big thing is made in USA. Loving that. But here's some of the different kits that I've built, and I'll link these in the iCard section here. But both great. I think this is like $30. This is like around 40. Represents a lot of learning, a lot of fun. But this Elenco kit definitely is the one that a student's going to want to learn with. And I'm going to learn more probably by building this, definitely. Understanding each stage. So, very neat. Set that there. Let's go look at the components, and then I'm going to start building this thing. So we're going to set this off this side. And let's see what we get in the bag. First bag here, looks like we got some lead-free solder, which I'm not going to use. If you guys have access, of course, to 6040 solder, get that instead. It's much easier. Just wash your hands. Don't rub your eyes after you've been handling lead solder, and you'll be fine. Here's a battery holder, and it looks like a stand to hold your project up. So that's kind of nice as a display stand. Neat. Okay, over here we have the bag of components. I'll open them up, and we'll see what we get inside. First time I've looked at them, so I don't know what we get, but I think it's well put together. There we go, empty bag. First thing here, looks like our transistors and the diodes sneaking out there. Might be our signal diodes. And I think we have a little audio amplifier chip there. Don't know if that's in focus, probably not, but yeah, I'll probably go over that with you guys. But yeah, there's some transistors, and I think that's the audio amplifier. And of course we got some diodes, signal diodes it looks like. Nice. Next we have the loop stick antenna. Looks like it's pretty nicely wound and a nice ferrite bar. And then here we have our resistors on the value chart. That's really handy. You can double check the markings with the resistor to make sure it's the right value. Yeah, it's good for identifying. I like how they do that. I think there's other components in here too. It's kind of double-sided there. So there you go. And then let's see what else we got. All kinds of stuff. Oh, they got the capacitors separate. Look at that. We got all the disc capacitors, all the values there. Some electrolytics. Yeah, see, I like how they do this. Makes it to build a lot easier. You know exactly what to get, what to grab, and go. All right, what else we got? We got the okay, so we got some IFs here. The adjustable cans. Nice. I see 4 of them. We got an oscillator probably, and 2 IF stages. Nice. Okay. And then we got our speaker. A lot of parts here. This is gonna be a fun one. Speaker. Looks like a power switch. What is this here? We got some wire. We got a volume knob. Looks like our headphone jack or earphone jack. I'm guessing mono. Looks like it. What are these little dudes? Some kind of little pointers. I'm looking at them now, but I don't know what I'm looking at. What would those be used for? You guys figure it out? I don't know. Mounting something? Okay. Throw that aside. Here's our capacitor, tuning capacitor. We have our dial. Excuse me. With a little knob. Sweet. Now, I noticed this. This is the adhesive sticker for that speaker. There's no screws attached to the speaker, but this does. This is like permanent, so make sure you get it lined up when you do it. Yeah, I remember using this in a kit. It stuff locks on. If you guys built Elenco kits, you know what I'm talking about. And it looks like our volume pot and on-off switch. All right, and what else? Oh, we got like a little transistor by itself. Maybe that's an IC. I don't know. There's no way I'm gonna get that into focus. Probably not. Yeah, whatever. We'll find out what that is later on. And then we got our single earpiece. Woohoo! They gave us an earpiece. Hey, with a rubber cup on it. Nice. Even they got stereo set up there though. That's interesting. You'd think they would. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, there we are. So there it is, Elenco. This is the model number AM550CK. Yeah, it's a pretty cool kit for 29 bucks. They make an AM/FM one also. They'll have the same AM module. Then here on the same PCB, they'll add to the PCB and they have an FM circuit. I do have that kit, and I plan to build that in the future also. So let me go ahead. I'm going to fade to black, and I'm going to start building this bad boy. Then I'm going to come back with some pictures of the build process, explaining each stage, It's a lot easier. I mean, I've seen videos where the guy's sitting there soldering, and do a little fast forward and stuff. That drives me nuts. I like the pictures, I like explaining the pictures. Then done, and I'm going to show you the final product. And then we're going to do some tuning and see what we can hear maybe during the day or evening, depending on when I film that. Oh, and I forgot to show you the back of this thing. So the back is just like a simple green. May have to clean these contacts. I haven't in the past. There you go, Wheeling, Illinois. It's nearby me. Wow. But I like this. Alrighty. So there it is. Fade to black. I'll be right back with some pictures of the build process. Here are pictures of the build process. In section 1A, I built a transistor audio circuit by populating the board with 7 resistors, 4 transistors, 4 electrolytic capacitors, a volume potentiometer, 1 diode, a slide switch, 3 test points, a battery holder, speaker, and headphone jack. Now you need a multimeter at the end of each section to do various tests on voltage, resistance, and current. Section 1B, I then built the IC audio amplifier circuit by populating the board with 2 resistors, 2 disc capacitors, 3 electrolytic capacitors, an 8-pin IC socket, and 2 test points. I then inserted the 8-pin LM386 IC, and of course tests were performed after that section. Now we're getting more involved. Section 2, building the detector and AGC circuits. I used 4 resistors, 1 diode, 3 disc capacitors, 2 electrolytic capacitors, 2 test points, and 2 IF transformers. Tests again were performed with a voltmeter. So you see here in this picture, they have you do these different sections so you can learn how the build goes as you move along. Let's go to section 3. I built the second IF amplifier circuit using 3 resistors, 2 disc capacitors, 1 transistor, 1 test point, and 1 transformer. Again, those little test points are very handy when you're doing your testing across the board. In section 4, I built the first IF amplifier circuit by adding 2 resistors, 1 disc capacitor, 1 transistor, and 1 test point. You can see a thing going on with those test points. In section 5, I built the mixer and oscillator circuit using 3 resistors, 2 disc capacitors, 1 transistor, an oscillator coil, a tuning capacitor, 1 test point, yay, and the antenna assembly. Yes, quite a bit to put together. So let's go look at the finished product in front of us. Ta-da, here it is. The Elenco AM Radio Superhet AM550CK. The radio itself, it works. After section 5, they have you calibrate the radio by adjusting the oscillator coils, the IF transformers in different stages, adjusting your coil here on the ferrite, and get a fairly decent radio. The issue here is capacitance. When you're trying to tune the radio, it will be affected by your hand proximity to the antenna and to the circuit. That's the only thing that's interesting about this radio. It's a really cool layout, but you will run into that trouble. I had trouble with that. I got it fairly dialed in, so sometimes it's difficult to get good selectivity. I do pick up a lot of strong stations. So let's take a look at this. We'll start at the left side of the board. There is the antenna, and you can see the oscillator coil. Go zoom up here. And there's our tuning capacitor. Now I was able to align that perfectly, so that is, the dial is accurate, which is good. There's it, and we'll just move along. Then we got the first IF amplifier. You can see how that's set up, and then they have the little AGC circuit. It's even marked, which is nice. And you can see how I built it. Pretty simple setup. Second IF amplifier, there you go. You get the second and third stage there. And then over here we got the transistor audio amplifier, and then they had the IC audio amplifier. So it's kind of cool. They're teaching you different ways to amplify the signal. Thought that was really neat. I noticed the transistor audio works really well with the headphone they provide. And then the IC audio works very well when you're trying to get a signal from through the speaker here. If you use the transistor ones, it's a little too quiet. So I have to use the IC when we're cruising the band. And I have a little battery installed there. Let's look at the back of this. Flip it over. And you can see the joints here. Okay, so there's our speaker. It's just stuck on there with that tape, double-sided tape. It's very strong stuff. There's the jack installed. Pretty interesting setup. Moving there, you'll see a capacitor on the back of the board. And then here you'll see the potentiometer. Notice the bigger areas there where the solder is. I used a larger iron tip and higher wattage, about 750 degrees with a wide blade. And over here the same with the tuning capacitor, just to get a better joint with those larger areas. So there's that. Let's go flip it back over. Let's go ahead and turn it on, do a little tuning, and then do some final thoughts. Give you some options here. So let's go ahead and hear what it can do. So my hand can affect the circuit.
I used the wrong word. I said this funny video. It's not a funny video. You corrected me. You said it's sad, but we have used for 3.5.
So I haven't installed the baffle yet, but I figured to do it later. But here we go. We're at 560 WIND, Chicago, Illinois. Oh, and time is, it's evening right now. We'll see if we can pick up Zoomer Radio. We're at 10:06 p.m. Central Standard Time near Chicago, Illinois. I'll use this radio if I need to find any faint stations. I don't think I'm going to find a whole lot with this radio. And then we're going to compare with other kits I've built, so that'll be fun. Let's turn this up. Let me just show you a difference too. I'll go back to that strong station.
Dad, and I'm willing to do it because I can't even imagine a situation where I wouldn't want to be there to walk my daughter down the aisle, especially over politics, because the man she loves happens to be conservative.
Slide the switch, and now we're on the transistor audio amplifier. It's got a better sound to it. The IC audio amplifier, they say it has a adjustable value from 20 to 200. And right now it's set at 50 with a certain resistor. So you can actually even make it stronger if you want, but it's a little overamped. So 50 is perfect, what they suggest. But on weaker stations, you won't hear much with the transistor audio amp. You'll hear it really well with the earphone though. I think I mentioned it. Switching back to IC.
As we come to the choice in 180 days between liberty.
Gotta keep adjusting. Now the AGC on this radio doesn't work as well as, say, my Texan radio, which I'm going to show you. So I have to adjust the volume quite a bit. Let's see where we're at.
Sit down, talk with him. You guys, not having debt is going to set you up to really move forward strongly in the baby steps. So I'm going to tell you, if you're not locked in unison with this, it's only going to lead to headache and heartache later down.
So we're at 600 WMT, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's about 100 and I got my cheat sheet. 175 miles, 5,000 watts at night, and if you look at the dial, yeah, it just cuts out the shorting something out. There we go.
Right, that's the typical. There's exceptions, but they're rare. Yeah, and if she's feeling it, if it's someone they.
So yeah, I touched underneath there. Remember, you pick it up by the edges. So the dial's right on the money. So that calibration worked out pretty good.
She said they're both healthy financially. Your home for country music and CFCO.
Oh wow, the little radio's waking up. CFCO 630, Chatham, Ontario, 310 miles, 6,000 watts. Nice. The problem I had with this radio was I pick up a lot of stations towards the bottom of the band. Towards the top of the band, it was a little bit more difficult. Probably because you don't have a secondary coil. On the Texan 2P3 kit, you have a secondary coil, and you have stations all the way up to the end, nice and loud, which I'll show it to you in a moment. So let's just go through a few more stations, and then we'll start comparing radios. So we can pick up Nashville.
If you don't know who Marty Raybon is as a solo artist, you probably remember the supergroup in country music, Shenandoah, years ago. And like you guys had 13 number ones, and I don't know how many millions of records sold. I kind of wanted to know.
That's 650 Nashville, WSM, 434 miles. We got a strong local next to it.
At no point did they ever bring up Jerry Krause in that he needs credit, or there's so much friction. And
670 to score, WSCR, Chicago.
That you had sort of this palace coup that was going
So like I said, with the earpiece, you're going to hear a lot more. You can DX with it if you want.
I appreciate the patience, Glenn. It's your turn on 700 WLW with Sterling.
This check was sent to someone in your family who has
I'm doing okay. I'm concerned about it because the eye. Otherwise, I'm okay.
concerns from as far back as 2018 to determine stimulus payments.
Well, a real problem, Sterling, and
Okay, at 700, it's really hard to get. It's Cincinnati, Ohio, which is cool, 300 miles, but it's between 670 and 720, which are strong stations.
Couples who received a joint stimulus payment only have to send back the half intended for the person who's no.
720 WGN Chicago.
Is now saying it will not reduce the hours of thousands of
Let's see if we can pick up Zoomer on 740. There you go. Doesn't sound fantastic until I put the baffle on, probably. CFZM 740 Toronto, Ontario, 460 miles. Yeah, this is actually, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm getting some good reception today. I think this is 750 Atlanta, Georgia. Really hard to hear it. Just plug it in here. So it's a faint signal on the other one too. The volume's all the way up. I'll turn it down because it can get loud.
my choice not to take it. I've never had the flu actually in the winter. I don't need the vaccine.
760 WJR, Detroit, Michigan. 270 miles.
40-50% maximum effective in the flu. And they're very dangerous.
Full patient testimonials results may vary.
Hey, why are you going to spend another spring and summer covering your legs and doing nothing about those bulging varicose and spider veins? Not only are
780 WBBM, Chicago.
it will be a painful sign of serious vein disease. Now,
I mean, they're the biggest planet on Earth. I mean, they're gigantic. Quarter inch.
Right. How do you think they got? Do you think they got here from cargo, or do you think they were released?
Yeah.
As you can tell, the capacitance
That it came on one of the shipping containers. It's possible
is affecting it by me putting my hand on it.
there's certain cultures.
But yeah, okay, so that gives you an idea. Let's go to the top of the band real quick, and then I'll show the other radios.
Maybe you just want to lock in a lower rate.
Yeah, there's also a possibility that they were released because
And end the stigma. Talking about.
So it gets pretty quiet towards the top. So you get the idea. Okay, so that's the kit there. So what I want to do here, I want to show you. Here's one, the Marania. This is an AM radio kit. And I'm just going to kind of move that back. Let's just turn this on. I may have to actually pull this off. I'm just going to do that real quick. Let me just show you the different kits here in comparison. So turn this to the bottom. This one's not as selective because it's not super het. It's just a single IC AM radio. Everything's tuned by the volume control and by the tuning. That sounded funny. This volume control actually helps selectivity.
One more item. 2%, which would be a typical management fee in a fund. 800-630-1133. That's 800-630-1133. What I would recommend.
650 Nashville. This radio loves to pick up strong stations, so it's real sensitive to real strong stations. But then you can pick up the faint ones as long as they're out of direction. Like Chicago's this way, I have to null it this way. Excuse me.
Here in Salt Lake is the Bubba and Whitby filter, and like going, oh my God, if people only saw that on camera.
Watching these protests,
66. Southwest winds are blowing. The air continues remarkably dry.
And I was actually pleasantly surprised to learn that Canadians have a sense of survival. And they don't permit foreigners to settle more than 20 acres of land.
It's certainly contaminated the solution. Brood of these Asian hornets. Tonight, technically, we'll call it.
So that gives you an idea. With the Marania, this is made in USA, which is awesome. And I'll have the links below here for it. Same with the Elenco kit. The Elenco kit's just amazing. But let's go ahead and show you what my favorite one is, the Texan 2P3, this guy right here. So let's go to the bottom of the band on this one. Now, if you want a radio and you want to go portable with it, and you want to put it in your pocket, and you want really good reception, really good audio for an AM radio kit, you want this one right here, Texan 2P3. There's no doubt about it. This one's absolutely amazing. Let's go show you it. We're picking 530 CHLO, Brampton, Ontario. Right away with this. It's amazing.
I'd rather see that used, sporadically.
You've noticed it's time to upgrade your sheets and pillows. Now's the time to join millions of Americans who have changed the quality.
Your emergency fund is handy when there's...
We understand that hardships may arise.
But are not sitting there with sheets.
630 CFCO. Speaker sounds fabulous. This is WSM Nashville, Tennessee.
What are you doing to keep your sanity during these times, and how are you feeling, bud?
A lot better.
Serious question, too. Thinking of advertising. Well below normal.
Zoomer.
Two-lane restrictions by Did you know simply spending cash today?
About the National Library.
Student asked 64-year-old.
Have received a loan through the emergency. It was my 5th birthday.
The local authorities there in Georgia. If you're ready to take back control, that would happen in today's
Sherbrooke, on était 1200 personnes au Théâtre Granada.
So as you can tell, what's wrong with my voice? As you can tell, 2P3 is amazing on sensitivity and selectivity. Loving it. Nothing beats it so far for an AM radio kit. Let's go all the way to the top of the dial and tune back and show you.
Nothing renders security so pleasant as exposure.
And is this shift in China's national economic policy toward...
It was called the Cocaine Circus.
309-208-1558. Singer is owner and head pharmacist at Island Pharmacy and Compounding Center.
Out of respect for social distancing, I'm recording this from my office.
Okay, so as you can tell, tons of stations. 2P3 is the one to get. So let's just line these all up here, and then we'll talk about them real quick, and then we'll end the video. So yeah, final thoughts on the Elenco 550 CK. Now, there's a lot that goes into it. It's just an amazing display of a superhet radio. Everything is laid out like a schematic, which I think is amazing. You have all the testing, so you learn kind of what the circuit is doing. That in itself is the greatest factor about having this radio, and then just having it to show off, because you have to get a little stand and off you go. But a good learning experience nonetheless. It's around $30. Definitely worth it if you want to learn the circuit. If you want a practical radio for the same price, you pick up the Tecsun 2P3 kit, you build this. You learn a little radio theory with this one also, which is nice. They do include that in the instructions. And it has just a fabulous sounding speaker, nice cabinet, and the tuning is just absolutely amazing. And it's manually done. You know, they give you a little plastic screwdriver. That's what you want to use when you're adjusting these. I use this actually to adjust the Elenco one. I never use metal, use plastic. You have to adjust the transformers. Definitely go with the 2P3 kit. If you want something different, the Marani is really different. This kit here is about $40, $42, I think, shipped. Neat thing about it, very unique. It has a coil you wrap yourself, you wrap your own antenna. It's fun. Don't expect the selectivity out of this radio versus this one, but you will be surprised by its sensitivity. Once in a while, you'll be like, wow, I got a far station. And that's the joy of kit building, is finding something unique with very minimal parts. And this one really excels at that. So there it is. Let's just go back to the Elenco, and then we'll end it there. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope you did. Give me a big like. You guys are awesome. If you like Elenco products, hit subscribe at the bell icon, get notified of future kits. I have the AM/FM version of this one, where they add the FM board to the top. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video. I'll try to be building that one. That one's going to take a while. This took a while to build. This one probably took me about 3 hours to put together. It took my time to get it done right. Nice and slow, made sure everything was perfectly placed and tested and everything else. So just an enjoyable experience, especially the learning experience of this radio, and that it works. That's a bonus. And 3, comment below what you think about this kit versus the 2P3 or the Marania. You know, which one would you buy? Which one would you put your money on? Would you buy all 3? Would you just Tecsun? Would you buy the Elenco? Let me know. I'm kind of curious. Be interesting. All right, guys. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.